Hello everyone, welcome back. So on this one, what we're going to be doing with our Telecaster, this is part 2, we're going to be adding hardware to the object here. So if you haven't watched the first one, where we made this out of sub Ds, go ahead and watch that. So let's go ahead now and make sure that our sub Ds are looking exactly the way we want, because we're not going to be able to change them much once we turn it into solid-based modeling in a minute here. We're going to be adding pick guards and frets and pickups and hardware all around the guitar. So we want to go ahead and make sure everything is locked in. It looks pretty good so far, a good kind of overall shape, but there's a couple of little details that we want to make sure are correct with the headstock here. So first thing I want to do is I want to actually flatten the bottom of this on the Telecaster. This area on the bottom here is completely flat. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up to about right there. And yeah, it's not quite 100% flat. So let's move a couple of, just try to get it as flat as possible here. So of course, I'm Command-Shift clicking to grab certain segments and Control-Shift clicking if you're using a PC. Great. So once we got that, the area right here, the profile of the neck, the headstock droops down a little bit so that the strings can go over the frets and then come down to the tuners here. So we need to actually pull down the headstock a little bit. So let's go ahead and Control-Shift or Command-Shift left to right select all of this and pull it down a little bit. And if yours isn't working out quite as nice, remember soft selection details are important. Sub D tools, making sure that your soft transform when you've got your object selected is engaged. So yeah, soft transform. All right, that's good enough. Also, where the frets end, the top of the guitar, where the strings kind of go over the bridge, what we want to do is we want to make it a straight line, and then it kind of dips down. So I'm going to add another edge loop. So I'm going to Control-Shift click or Command-Shift click, double click to select that edge loop, and then I'm going to insert another edge loop a little bit ahead of it here. And then I'm actually going to select these two spots here and crease them. Make sure this is also creased here and here. Yeah, so the top is just nicely creased there. All right. Select these two, and then I'm going to kind of pull it up a little bit. And then Control-Shift click on the middle here and just kind of bring that down. Just trying to get a nice sharp-ish transition. All right, let's look at it again in rendered here. Oh, hard to see anything. Let's look at it in shaded again here. I think I need to move this whole edge loop back a little bit more. All right, cool. So that gives us the contours to the neck. Awesome. Last thing we want to do is we want to do an analysis of this whole thing. Well, actually, let's do one more thing. Let's actually round the corners of the fretboard a little bit using a sub D crease with a 95 weight. Constant weight, 95. just to give it a little bit of softness there. Okay. Let's do it down here too. Okay. Nice. I think that looks good. Let's now do a analysis of our surfaces to make sure we don't have anything looking bad. So I'm going to type the word zebra. And what that's going to do is if I click on my objects here and hit enter, it's going to put a zebra print over the whole thing so we can look for how the curves and everything are bending. And specifically, we're looking for nice straight edges all the way up. See, look at this. Looks like it's been chewed on. And over here too. So we've got some funkiness with our sub D on the body that we want to fix beforehand. So let me turn zebra off. Okay. Yeah, and you can see where the problems are here just based off of this shading that's going on here. So what I want to do actually with this is I'm going to try to add some surfaces to it. So I'm going to go ahead and say quad remesh, and I'm going to up the amount of surfaces to maybe, I don't know, 500. We'll do a preview, hide object, convert to sub D creases. Yeah, and see what's happening here is I'm getting quads all the way around here, which is what we want. We had some triangular shaped, and we need to have quads all the way around. Okay, I think that's looking good. So hit OK. And then we've got our old version that has less faces. We'll just delete that. Our new version here, we've got to do a little sub decrease right there, and change the constant weight to 95. Now let's do a zebra pattern again. Whoops, what did that do? Okay. Zebra, this. Yeah, that looks much better. So had to add a little bit more detail to it, but that's fine. Okay, cool. So zebra off. And I did notice one more little detail here. This area right here. And it dips in. And then I'm actually going to go sub D, crease again, and I'm going to increase the weight here to maybe 50. Okay. All right, and then also the neck is a little bit thicker than that part of the stock there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out a little bit because there's an overlap that makes this nice wood kind of veneer thing happen. Where the wood shows out the side. All right, so that's looking about the way I want it to for now. First thing we're going to do is we're going to copy this, Control C, and then we're going to select this object and put it on the hide solids object. So change object layer. All right, then Control V to bring it back. And we've got on the hide solids our hidden sub D. Okay, cool. So the next step is to basically change this into poly surfaces. So we're going to first Boolean difference, and we want to keep this and get rid of this from the Boolean. So subtract the shape of the body from, or the shape of the neck from the shape of the body. Oh, subtract from this, enter this, enter. Okay. So this now is our poly surface. And I've got the sub D here still. I don't need it. For some reason, I've got it set to copy. And then this actually just fits right on top there. So if I hide this, you can see I've got the shape of my head, my neck right there. So bring that back. All right, cool. So this poly surface, sub D, delete that sub D. This poly surface here, I'm going to go ahead and merge all coplanar faces to see if that cleans it up a little bit. Okay, so now anything that was completely flat on top is become one piece. Very good. Okay, so let's start off with doing the frets here. So the fret pattern is going to be kind of individual to each guitar. So I'm going to go to a top view here. And then I'm going to just kind of draw them in lines over here and transpose it over to the top of the object here. So let's go ahead and start off with a line. And I'm just going to go like that. Okay. And starting with the first fret, there's 1 1/4 inches between the first, I'd say 4 frets. So let's go ahead and say offset, enter, 1.25, shift quote, enter, and click, and enter brings up the same command. Escape out of it, enter brings up the same command. Click on this one, enter, click, click. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 frets here at 1 1/4, and then we got 6 at 1 inch. So let's offset again, brings up the same command, and do 1, shift quote, enter. So now we're doing 1 quote, and there's 7 of these actually. So click, enter, click, click, enter, click, click, enter, click. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more. No, that's good enough. Let's do that for now. We'll see. And then after that, we've got some that are 5/8. So that's 4 5/8. So let's offset 5/8 inch, enter, click, 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 enter, click, click, enter, click, click, enter, click. Okay. And then we've got 4 at 1/2 inch. So offset, enter, 1/2, quote, enter, click, 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 enter, click, click, enter, click. Okay. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We need 4 more, and the last 4 are going to be at, what is it, 3/8. So offset 3/8, quote. Okay. And yeah, there's a little discrepancy. Let's look at it here. And this starts, of course, down further than the bridge at the top here. So let's go back to perspective. And extrude that up. Not too bad, actually. Yes, I am a little off, but that's okay, because I can always just fake it, right? So now that I've got a pretty good look at the spacing, any like 1/16 of an inch times 23 is going to add up to about, this much of a distance discrepancy. So I'm going to go ahead and just scale it out till it looks about right. Okay. It's a little bit more in because I do need to do the bridge at the top. Okay, that looks about right. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those curves, edit, select objects. And we're going to select the curves and just go ahead and put those on the curves layer. First, let's move them over. Then layers, curves, change object layer. Bye-bye. Okay, cool. So now we've got our fret locations, but they're not fret shaped. And let's do a copy of this one. Let me turn off my auto C plane here. Move this over to right about there. Actually, nope, not quite. Too much. So let's go ahead and select all of these again and scale it up a little bit more, and then move up a little bit more. Now let's do an Alt. Yeah, not quite. So I'm going to move it right about there. It looks about the same distance between there and there. Then switch this way and scale it in until I'm close to where I want to be. So yeah, it's not exact, but that looks about right. Okay. Next up is to turn these into the proper shape. So just scaling them in a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and extrude like that. Okay. Select them all. I'm going to move them down into the fretboard area. Okay. Switch to a top view. I'm going to hide the body. Okay, so now I duplicated the edge of the guitar using the dupe edge tool. I'm going to pull that up so I can see where my excess is. And then I'm going to push it back down. And then I'm going to split all of these with that line. So again, how did I do that, right? This thing right here, I've duplicated my edge. Control Shift, double click this, dupe edge, enter. That gives me a duplicate line that I can extrude to make a cutting blade, and then I can pull it down and cut these frets off. So I'll go split. Let's go to a top view actually to do this. Makes it easier. Split. those enter with the poly surface. Enter. Okay. So now all of these are just little edges I can delete. I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to delete that. And go to a top view again. I'm going to left to right select all of this and hit delete. And left to right select all of this and hit delete. So what that does is that gives me these little fret pieces. Now, of course, none of these are capped off. They're all open. So if we look at it in rendered, you'll see. Yep, they're all open on the sides. So easily enough, we can just left to right select and cap. And that fills in those extra areas. All right. Okay, now that we've got those all capped off, we still have some more shaping to do, right? So one, they're too tall. So let's go ahead and left to right select all of them and make them the proper size just by grid snap off. Just by scaling them in. And basically, I just don't want them sticking up out of the sides. Okay, so let me go like this. Edge selection here, turn on my shaded here. You can see how like I got a little too much arc going on. So I'm just gonna, I have to actually go in and individually do this because I don't want to select the bottom. Now I'm going to pull it down just a little bit, kind of flattening it out a little bit more. Okay, cool. That looks good. Let's look at it rendered real quick. All right. And then this bridge one is a little bit thicker, so I'm going to go ahead and come in here. Oops, got my edge selection. Turn it off. Select that and pull it a little bit bigger. Give it the chunkiness we need. Perfect. And then that curve I created earlier, I'm just going to delete it. All right. Now, yes, there's a little curvature to the frets and yada, yada, yada. You can get a little bit more crazy with it, but you're never going to notice those little tiny details with, I mean, that's a minuscule detail with the rest of it. Okay. Delete that edge to curve. Okay, good. Awesome. Next step is to Boolean difference from, I'm going to put this in a little bit more on this side here. Okay, so Boolean difference those frets from the body. So let's go Boolean difference. What do I want to subtract with? This. Whoops, what do I want to subtract from? This. Control click, enter. And then what do I want to subtract with that? Enter. So that just basically creates these surfaces that fit perfectly on our bridge here. Okay, cool. So that's done. Next step, let's start adding more hardware up here at the top. So go to a top view here. I'm going to actually lock this in place. And from there, I'm going to draw 6 circles along this line. So I'm going to go draw a line from like turn off the snaps here. Just try to draw it kind of parallel to right there. And then I'm going to divide this into segments. And how many segments do I need? 5. So that there's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equally spaced dots. Okay, and why I did that is because that's where I'm actually going to, you know what? This line was too big. Let me do it again. So I'm going to draw another line right on top here. I need it to be a little bit less. And then I'm going to delete this, move this up a little bit here. Cool. Right there. Divide 6 or 5 segments. So I have 6 dots that I can draw 6 circles on. Okay, so first we're going to draw a circle from this point with our snaps turned back on. With a D, enter. 14, enter. Then we're going to do another one from the same center with a D, enter, 10, enter. And then we're going to do a final one, and this one is going to be at 6 millimeters. Okay, let's switch to perspective and find our circles. Okay, I'm going to move them up a little bit just so I can see them. I'm going to go ahead and extrude this one down a little bit. Okay, extrude this one up a little bit. And the center one here, up a bunch more. All right. Then this is actually not a circle. It's going to be a polygon because it's a hexagon for hex wrenching. So let's go polygon, enter. And then the number of sides, we're going to switch to 5. And we're going to find the center here. And then I'm going to just kind of go to, no, excellently. Let me just hide this real quick. Okay, polygon, number of sides, 5. Find the center of that higher one there. Cool. And then I just want to bring it to perpendicular here. Okay. Z, enter, S, enter to zoom on my selected object. And then I'm going to grab this curve and extrude it down. Get rid of the circle there. And then bring back my hidden object, which is the nut there. And you see what we're building, right? Okay, next step is I'm going to draw a sphere because they're kind of a rounded top. Find my center here again, using my center snap, there to there. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of mush the sphere down because it's more of just like a bullnose top. Okay. And then since they are floating, we will pull it down onto our object. Let me move this up a little bit, and then I'm actually going to grab this little face down here, Control-Shift clicking on it, and pull it down, just so it even overlaps into my space here. Oops, I missed my sphere. I'm going to go ahead and Boolean union these two top pieces together. Actually, let's just do the whole thing. It's all going to be Chrome anyway, so I don't care. I'm just going to Boolean union them. And yeah, there's a little bit more detail to where like the string goes around the nut there, but I think I'm going to just be okay with it like this. All right, so now I want to move these. So I'm going to hit move. This object, enter, from, I'm going to kind of hover until I find my center. See it popping up sometimes. Let me see if I can catch it. There we go. Got it. Oops, I didn't want to move. I wanted to copy it. Sorry. Copy. This object, enter, find my center, underneath. There it is. Boom. Go to a top view, and I'm going to dot, dot. Click, 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 enter. Back to perspective. They all worked except for one for some reason. Z enter, S enter. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, that dot is actually too high. Somehow the dot got off. We'll just eyeball it. Okay. Okay, good little details there. All right, what's next? Yeah, there is a little screw also right here that holds down the string as it's approaching the lower strings here. So let's go ahead and do that. Go to a top view again. Another circle. This one is between the third and fourth string here. I'm just going to draw it like that. Smaller than the rest of them. And then I'm going to click on this and go Alt Shift and scale to copy the circle in. Okay. Switch back to perspective, Z enter, S enter, put it into shaded. And I'm going to extrude both of these up slightly. This one is going to be a screw. So I actually want to draw a little screw pattern on the top. And let's go to a top view here. Z enter, S enter. And then I'm just going to copy this cross pattern. Let's draw a line from end to end, and then end to end. Grab these two curves, switch back to perspective. And then I'm going to pull them up. Oops, why did that bend? Oh, I snapped the wrong spot. Got this end up here. Zoom selected. All right. Let's try that again. And then I'm going to mirror. Actually, let me just Alt and rotate. And then pull these, whoops, scale it out so it overlaps on both sides. And Boolean difference. Keep this, I get rid of this and this, and then delete, delete. It looks like a screw, right? It's fine. It should have like a curved top to it and everything, but that just adds unnecessary details. So now let's go ahead and go and lower this down. And it actually kind of hovers over the top slightly. Right about there. Then there's, I'm going to grab this face, Control-Shift-Click, and extrude it down into our object. And move it up a little bit more. Nice little detail. And we can get crazy. We can also do like the negative space for the truss rod here, but I think I'm just going to ignore that little detail. We can do most details without doing them all. All right, so now we've got some nice details up here. Let's start with the body details. Pick guard, accent pieces, pickups, and the rest of the hardware there. So first thing I'm going to start with, there's a little accent trim piece that goes all the way around the guitar that looks really nice, and we're going to make that. So first things first, I'm going to copy the body over. I'm going to create a reference point here on this endpoint. So I'm just going to draw a line right there, and you'll see why I do that later. And then I'm going to hold down Alt and move this over to the side here. Okay, so we've got this over here now. What we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the edge on this thing, offset it in. We're going to create a couple of trim pieces and cut out that little detail area. So Control-Shift, double-click, Control-Shift, double-click gives us this. We go dupe edge to create that. I will isolate this so it's easier to see. So center mouse wheel click and hold down again. I keep saying the same things over and over again. I know there's a lot of commands, so don't bear with me as I repeat things. And then I'm going to offset inward 2 millimeters that way. Great. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring back the body here, and we're going to look at this. I want to actually draw a line from here to there. All right. And then I'm going to join these two pieces together here. Join. And then I'm going to pull it down to create kind of a cutting block here. And then I'm going to split this object with this. Enter. Well, and it doesn't work actually. I think it's just got a bad overlap where this is happening right here. So I need to isolate both of these and go to a front view. And then I want to go just draw a line down here, 6 millimeters, click, and then I'm going to go all the way across to there. And then first I'm going to split the guitar body with this line. Then I'm going to click on this and delete it. Now I'm going to switch back to perspective here. And I'm going to move this up like that. And I'm going to split this enter with this enter. And then I have to repeat it. So I'm going to split now this enter with this enter. Okay. Delete that. And you can see we didn't do it there. It's still missing that line all the way around it. All right. But I have another option here. Okay, cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create this interior space all the way around here. So I'm going to sweep along a rail. So I'm going to select these edge loops. Right, like that. And I'm going to go dupe edge. Okay, join it all together because I want one rail. And then I'm going to sweep 1. And I'm going to select a rail, which is that curve we just made. And then I can select that as a cross section and that as a cross section. That's not good. Dupe edge here. Join because I need straight cross section. So yeah, sweep 2 or sweep 1. Sweep 1. Enter. This curve. Where did my curve go? Curve. Sweep 1. There we go. Curve. Cross section. Cross section. Enter. There's a little piece here. Join. Dupe edge, enter. Join the edge together, enter. Then sweep 1, enter. Select the curve. Goes all the way. Does not go all the way around? Why not? A little tiny edge there. Okay, so now that I think we finally got this thing all the way around in one piece. Okay, dupe edge. Perfect. Now sweep 2. Sweep 1, I mean. Sweep 1, long rail, curve, cross section, curve there, and curve there. Enter. Okay. Finally. All right. Next, we join all that together. All right. All one piece. And can we cap it? Nope. We still can't cap it. So now we got to do the trick again, where we go to the front view. When we draw a straight line. All the way across. And then we split this with this, enter. Click that, delete it, switch back to perspective so we can see if it works. And then we go cap. And it's capped. Finally, we've got a watertight little deal that's wrapped around here. And we'll bring back our hidden objects. Great. So now last step is to subtract this thing from that thing. And since we built it off of it, it copies all of the curvature. And that's why it was a little bit more complicated, because we had to use the body, chop up the section that we want, cut the section we wanted out of it. And then this is directly matching up with the other part. So let's move it. And then this is why we created this little line. So I can go to this endpoint here and move it from endpoint to endpoint. So then it should perfectly lay right on top of that. Okay, now save it, because this is going to be a tough Boolean operation for your computers to do. So I'm going to go Boolean difference. Select the object I want to subtract from. I'm going to subtract from that. Enter. Delete input is no. And let it go. All right, so that took a minute. I just kind of let it go. I didn't start freaking out and hitting escape or anything. Let's see what happens. So I have two objects on top of each other. Let me delete the one extra one that I do not need. Okay. So if I look at it in rendered, let me select my curves here. Get rid of the curves. I can see, let me isolate this so we can look at it. I've taken away that rim all the way around it perfectly. Nice. All right, I like it. So yeah, I can change the colors of that. That's going to be like a cream color. Then we get the red for the body, which is going to have like a sunburst kind of pattern on it, and still showing off the wood grain, which is going to be a fun little material to make later on. First detail on the body, done. Now moving on. Let's do more. Okay. Switching to shaded. And that's actually one of the harder ones. The rest of this is going to be relatively easy. So I did delete that curve though. Edit. Didn't I? Okay. So next step up here, let's go ahead and dupe the edges again. Because I did delete the curve, but you know, it's not that hard. I'll dupe edge, enter. Okay, offset again. 3 this time. Let me hide this, and let's join all this together. So I'm making the pick guard next here. And you know what? I'm going to actually go through and start differentiating the parts here. So I'm going to put the neck on a neck layer. So let's go to layers here and add a new layer. And this layer is going to be called neck. Enter. Right click. Change object layer. And I'm going to change the color of it to orange or gold. And then I'm going to hide it. And then these are all chrome up here. So I'm going to put all of the chrome on like one layer. So I'm going to go hardware chrome. And I'm going to then change this color to something else. I don't want to use yellow because that matches the selection color. Okay, change object layer and hide that. And then these are the frets. And that's the bridge at the top. So I'll just do the frets. Change object layer. Okay. Hide. Top. Bridge. Okay. And then just right click to bring everything back. And then this will be the body. Change object layer. Hide the body. This is going to be called the trim. Body trim. All right. Well, let's turn that back on. Just want to make sure that the curve is on the inside. Yeah. Okay. Join. Offset. Okay. And this time I'm going to do maybe 4 millimeters in here. Okay. And then I'm actually going to kind of draw a curve that goes like this, maybe. Okay. And then it starts to arc from like right here. Oh, do I have ortho on? Yes. Actually, let me draw a line 8 inches from right here. 8. Ortho on. Okay. And then we've got a line that goes across there. Let's pick up the curve here. Ortho back off. Okay, trim this area out now. Because this is a cutting blade and this is a cutting blade. That. Oops. Okay. And then use this as a cutting blade and trim that out. And join. And then rebuild. And I'm going to do maybe 100. No, not sub-D friendly. Okay. The fillet, not edge, but with R, enter, 1, enter. Okay, so just trying my best to make this look like a pick guard here. Looks good. Okay, next step is to bring everything back here. Let me hide these on the curves layer. Delete, delete. Actually, no, you know what I'm going to keep doing? I'm going to keep like laying out where things are in this 2D line work area here. First, let's go ahead and top pickup is centered at 12 inches from the bottom. And it's just going to be a rectangle. .5 inches by 0.5 inches. Oops. Dang it. Rectangle. 2.5 inches. Enter. Rectangle. Okay, rotate. Move. Click midpoint. Set it right there. Now that's going to be centered on the neck, so I'm gonna have to move that into position, but I'm gonna just keep it there for now. All right, let's do another rectangle. 3 inches, enter. 4 inches, enter. Again, rotating. And move it. Midpoint, try it about there. And then we actually move it up a little bit, because it does come into the pick guard. And then we've got another rectangle here. I'm just gonna Alt copy this one down. Actually, you know what? Let's finish this off. Control Z. And let's do a fillet. Actually, no, let's do a circle. Circle. And then we're going to do a 2-point circle. So that just means I just go to the diameter here. And then enter again, brings up the same command. 2, enter, click to there. And then I'm going to move this in a little bit here and there. And trim, using this as a cutting blade first. Cut these out. And then using these as a cutting blade, trim these out. Okay. And then I'm going to join this whole thing together, and then I'm going to hit Alt and move it on down into here. Okay. Whoops. Then this one, I'm going to draw a line across it here. And I'm going to divide this line into, whoops. Divide this line. How many segments? We'll do 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, no, 7. Sorry, 7. Enter. Okay, and then we need a circle on this one, and then I'm just going to copy them from point to point, point to point. Enter. Delete this. And those are those little pins that are on the pickups there. All right, and delete. Okay, so next is to scale this thing up a little bit. I thought this was on the mid, but it's not. Keep everything lined up. Okay. And I'm going to scale it a little bit thicker. Just this outside. Okay. Now select the whole thing, and I'm going to rotate it ever so slightly. And move it down a little bit. All right. Pick guard, pick up. Next, we've got the hardware over here. So I'm going to just hit Alt again. A lot of the similar shapes right here. And then I'm going to flop it that way. And I'm just going to hold down Shift and scale this thing out. All right, and then we've got some dials on here. So I'm going to use the center point on this and just kind of pull all the way out to about right there. One, and it's not quite right in the hole there, so I'm going to move it over a little. Alt, copy this one over. It's kind of closer to the middle here. And then we've got a shape kind of like this. I'm going to use Alt for the slider for the switch. And then Shift and scale it down. And then scale it out. And move it. I want to make sure it's in line here. Okay. So that's looking like the hardware. And then we've got another little piece right here for the bridge that comes up. Stop with the center here. The center's freaking out on me. Okay. Delete that extra one I just made. And then right in line with these, we've got another bunch of rectangles here. Well, let me turn center back on now, because I want to go from the center of those. And then I'm going to do a rectangle, but I'm going to go from the center rectangle. Actually, you know what? Let's do this real quick. Just draw a line right between these two here. and then center rectangle. Okay. All right, good. Copy from the midpoint here. Oh, actually, no, just like this. There to there to there to there. Just like that. Okay. And then the last little thing we're going to do is kind of just insinuate the springs at the base here. Copy them. All right, and actually these are a little bit longer. So Control Shift, I'm going to left to right select there, and I'm just going to pull these like this. Okay. And that's, I think, enough detail. All right, so next up is some screws. Actually, no, I'm not going to do the screws. I'm just going to leave the screws out for right now. Let's make all this stuff 3D. It'll be fun. Okay, so switching to perspective here. First things first, let's scale this up a little here. Boom. And then cap it. Oh, doesn't want to cap because it's not flat. All right, well, we'll do that last then. Let's do all the easy stuff first. So I'm going to go down with all this stuff first here, just a little like that. Okay. And then these are knobs. So we go up with the knobs. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to push pull this shape here down, and that'll give me a hole there. And then I'm actually going to want to cut that into the body a little bit. So I'm going to Control Shift double click here and extrude curve. Just down like that. All right. Next, I'm going to do this one down a little bit. This one, I'm going to push pull this. Whoops, let me get rid of this line here. Push pull this up. Right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab all of this. Well, let's do these ones one at a time. Rectangle, rectangle, shift, select all this. Control click to get that undone, and then extrude curve up. Turn my snaps off so it doesn't snap all over the place. Okay. I'll delete those. I'm just going to grab all this. Move it up. Right about there. Extrude those up. Okay. And then we've got, I'm going to hide this for the moment. Now, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and left to right select all of this here, move it up into space just ever so slightly. Z enter, S enter to zoom selected, kind of lowering it. Okay. All right. Then extruding this to turn my snaps back on. I'll just click right there. And then I will push pull. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to extrude these because I want to Boolean difference them out. And I'll just do it to there. And I can delete the circles. And then left to right select again. Boolean difference. Sorry, Boolean difference this. Left to right select with these. Okay. Get rid of the extrusion here. I don't know why it's duplicating. Okay. That way I can make that chrome. Awesome. Then Z enter, S enter. Pull this up. There's that one. Already looking like all the hardware. Good, good, good. Okay, let's turn back on the body. And let's go ahead and lift everything up to where it's supposed to be. Z enter, S enter to zoom all in. Oops, control click, Z enter, S enter. So now should be kind of focused right. And right where it starts to pop up there. Okay. Let's bring the neck back. Go to a top view. We need to align the hardware with the neck a little better. Move this down here. Let's bring the frets and the hardware and everything back now. And let's look at it in rendered. Oh yeah, it's looking good. Okay, so the next step here is our pick guard. Let's do that. Let's hide this. And yeah, since we can go to a top view here, and I'm going to use another command. I'm just going to use make 2D and hit OK. And so that makes it flat. And so now I should be able to extrude it. Let's go to perspective, Z enter, S enter, and extrude curve. Very good. And I mean, there's even more details on the pick guard. Like there's an offset bevel to it that has like an edge that's kind of cool, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Enough is enough. Move it, grab it like on that endpoint here. And I believe it should have a matching endpoint right there. Let me go to a top view and see how I did. Okay. Now switch back to perspective. Turn our body back on here. Okay. All right, now we want to notch out around the pick guard or the bridge at the bottom and also our hardware here. So let's do that. Go to a top view, and let's go ahead and Control Shift click on this, and then offset, and actually no, there's no offset on that one. This one's got an offset. There we go. And I will split the pick guard with this curve here, enter. And then that takes away this, delete. But when I switch to perspective here, you'll see we're open on the sides here, right? So, and I don't think we can cap this. No, we can't. So let's go ahead and select this and isolate it. And then I just have to add one surface to be able to cap it. So if I go to the surface tool here, I can go endpoint to endpoint to endpoint to endpoint. Ooh, Control Z. Select the whole thing, join it, and cap it. And that'll cap it off. The reason for that is it can figure out this opening and this opening when there is a closed there. It has to be like just a perfect surface that it's adding. Bring everything back. And then I'm going to bring this up a little bit more. All right, let's have a look. In rendered. Oh, yeah. Yep. So yeah, it's almost there. We need to do strings, and that will do it. I might add some little screws. All right, so let's go ahead and add the strings. So I'm gonna switch back into shaded here. And yeah, you do need to make sure that things are lined up pretty well here. The little rocker areas down here need to match up with where the strings are going to go into the tuners up here. So I've already moved mine around a little bit. You just, left to right select, move to find that sweet spot. But I'm going to go ahead and draw the strings in here. So let's go ahead and lock all this down. Okay. And I'm going to change actually my view here to a shaded view just so I can see where the pickups are going to be down here. So I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to go from the near on the end of this here all the way to the midpoint on this, and just kind of continuously going back over here to where it says near. And these are going to be kind of guidelines that we're going to use to then form the strings from a pipe. Oops, this one did not go to the right spot. And we're kind of just hoping at this point that we're not outside of the straight line drawing modality here. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to switch to a perspective view and kind of look at it. Cool. It looks like they all snapped to the right spot. Lovelies. Lovely. And yeah, this last string is a little close to the edge compared to what it should be, but it's close enough. And you can see it even kind of overlaps nicely with this. All right, so let's go ahead and unlock our object here. And then I actually do want these strings to kind of bend down a little bit as they're going over the bridge you know, just because right now they're very straight and they usually end up kind of more in the middle here. So I'm going to put a point on each one of these strings, just at the near here. Well, let's do it from a top view. Right at that spot. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy it. And I'm going to just move it perpendicular. So we're looking for the perp snack. Enter. And it's important to use the copy command instead of Alt because we're actually making sure that we're putting them on the snap there so that I can split this line and pull down the end here. So, okay, I can hide all these layers. Okay. All right, so now with those points, I'm going to split these curves. So select the objects to split, splitting these, and I'm splitting them with the points. What that should do is that should make all of these now separate, right? And then I can, let me see if I can join them back together and then go points on. Yeah, so these now have a control point on them. Great. So let's do points off. And then select these points, and I can now delete them, and then do points on. Okay, so now I've got control points at each one of those. So that's different than the points I added. The points I added were just points that were on the line. Because I split them at that point and then joined them back together, the software puts points there. So with the points on, we can see that I have points where we placed the points before, but those points are now actually attached to the curve because we split it and joined it back together. So that adds those extra points on there. So we use the points on command, select the objects to make sure the points are on, okay. And then we're gonna go to a front view here. And then we're going to make sure we select just this point at the front. So not the curve, but the curve point. Okay. And then watch what happens when I pull this down. It just bends and pivots right at that point where we want it to. Okay. These are minor details, but it, I think, shows other stuff too. Like shows how you can really kind of control things a little bit better. So now we're going to go to this one. And I'm going to zoom and draw a little window there so I can grab it. Control point, and I can do it from this view too. Just move it kind of down towards the middle. And it doesn't have to be precise, right? And then here, click on this point at the end here, down toward the middle. And I mean, really, you could skip this step. It's not going to look bad if you don't have them bent there, but it's just going to be a nice little, all these little details add up to even making it look better. Okay. So bring everything back that I turned off the neck here. All right. So now it looks like it's strung properly. All right. So the final step here is actually to make the strings. And we go from thicker strings to thinner strings as we're moving around. So I'm going to use a pipe command. And I'm going to set the diameter of the pipe at 1 millimeter. Maybe we'd even need it bigger, right? Okay, so let me undo that. Pipe again. Enter 2, enter. Okay. And that should pipe it all the way down. All right. And we're exaggerating this a little bit because otherwise you're not even going to be able to really see them. So pipe, and then we're going to do 1.5, enter. And then we'll just keep going down, pipe, 1, enter. And then of course these ones are going to be even less. So then this one I'll do 0.5, enter, enter, enter. And really 0.5, enter, 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 all three of these, even though, maybe I'll do the last one, 0.3, enter, enter, enter. And you can see how they all kind of go across the bridge and bend down towards our line there. All right, the last thing I want to do with this part is actually move this nut up a little bit more so that it kind of looks like it's going on top of these, because that's what it's supposed to do. All right, let's look at it in rendered just to give it a look. And I'm going to go ahead and edit, select curves, and put these on the curves layer for the strings. Very cool. So, you know, I mean, I'm going to probably later on come back and add some more details. Like I'll do some of the screws around here and stuff like that, but I'm not going to even bother with that because right now, because y'all should know how to do that. The screws are basically going to be made the same way as I made that earlier. So, and then making sure that they go around this the way that they're supposed to is just going to be offsetting a duplicated edge to create a boundary that I can use as a template for where to lay out the screws. But overall, you know, there's a lot of detail on this thing already. I think I'm going to say that the hardware is done, and we will now be moving on to the rendering portion of this in Rhino. And then the last video, we will also be playing with it in Blender too, just to kind of see the difference between how you can get different effects from different software. But hopefully you found this entertaining and useful.